Hey everyone, this is Dimensions of the Supernatural. I am Maureen Grudzinski, otherwise known as Lil Witchy. This, I can never do this right. And I'm on the opposite side tonight. This guy is my great co-host, Anthony Simonelli, otherwise known as Mr. Forget About It.
Mr. Forget About It. How you doing tonight?
We have such a great show tonight. We have the beautiful, talented, wonderful Tessa Groff lookalike. We're going to hear more about that. Lauren Hellekson. She is a great lady. We're going to bring her out right now.
Yes, she is.
There she is.
Yay! Hello.
Hello. Hello, everybody out there in the comments section.
I know I have mine up. I have mine up right here at the bottom.
Awesome.
So I can keep an eye too.
I feel so weird because I'm usually on the other side and now I'm on this side. Hi,
Yeah,
everybody.
that's so weird.
When all else fails, just do one of these.
All right, so I'm going to do this.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, switch the room.
Okay. Hi.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hey. Hello, everybody. So, we're here with Lauren. How you doing tonight? How you doing?
How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing
That's
doing
awesome.
fantastic. How are you guys doing?
We're
Doing
doing
good.
really well. This is so much fun. I can't wait to get further into everything.
I know
So,
nobody got to see, but for like the last 15 minutes backstage, we were all just like talking this whole time.
No, we weren't. You guys were.
Oh yeah, that's right. Anthony wasn't.
Anthony can't talk about hot guys.
They're talking about guys. Hey, that's not me. I'm sorry.
Hey, forget about it.
Hey, some people like that stuff.
Hey, that's okay.
We don't really want to like fangirl and talk about who we were talking about because it's super embarrassing. But Anthony can at least say that he has deep respect for the person that we were talking about.
And they're like they're brilliant and they're very passionate about their job and and it just so happens that they're tall, dark, and Nick Groff. I mean, I'm also in love with Tessa, so it's fine.
Tessa's hot too.
Tessa might actually be hotter than Nick. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, that's why I met you at the. That's why I met you. It was Niagara Falls, and they had the premiere.
Yeah.
Of Deathwalker.
Yep.
So
that's where I met you. I met the real Tessa. Well, I don't know. I got you guys confused for a minute.
You're like, wait, who's who?
And Tessa.
Well, she was a little pregnant at the time, so
She wasn't showing anything yet. She was still itty bitty.
And I got to meet Nick and everything, and I got to meet you. And it was a great event, and I got to meet you.
Me, I know, it was lovely, and that was when you were like, "You need to come on my show," and now finally, we made it happen.
Mm-hmm. Then we bumped into each other at Whitehill at the Paragon.
That was such a lovely surprise.
You know something? At the beginning, I didn't recognize you because you were dressed like Tessa up there. So when you came up there, I'm like,
you were like, "Who's this?"
I'm like, "Oh wow, hey, how you doing?"
I'm a woman of many faces.
Yeah.
Or definitely two faces.
I am a time-traveling shapeshifter.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So for everyone who doesn't know, one of her skills is that she was a reenactor on Deathwalker. And ironically, I was also on Deathwalker. Were you on season 4?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was on season 4.
The one that hasn't come out yet?
Yes, that we're
in the United States. We're in the UK.
Yes. And so was Ron and Lourdes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So was Frankie from Parasite Experience.
He was my husband.
Yes, he was. He was Nick Groff.
Mm-hmm.
We have lots of friends who have been on Deathwalker. The whole
I know, it's like a whole thing. We could literally just recreate Deathwalker without Nick and Tessa. We have everything covered.
Yeah, we got Nick and Tessa ourselves. Yeah. We'll start our own.
I'm not a psychic though, so Maureen, you'll have to take that part for me.
Well, I'll be the psychic, and then you can bring the equipment.
Yeah. I'll be like dirty biker Tessa.
Anthony can be the investigator.
Perfect. I like this.
And then we'll fill in the gaps with everybody in the comment section.
Excellent.
Bye, Nick and Tessa. Kidding.
They're fine. They're busy. They're okay. They're super busy. They're fine.
Yeah. They have stuff going on. Todd said, I like Nick because I wish I had his hair.
Nick's?
Oh. Well,
Todd, I like Tessa because I wish I had her hair.
Todd is completely gone. Well, I think he shaves it, but I wish I had some hair. But hey, what happens?
Hey, whatever.
It happens. See, guys don't lose their hair. The hair goes south when they get old. It moves
it
down
just travels down.
Yeah, in the ears and on their back, and then the nose hairs. Everything starts. So we don't.
Same
really
with the earlobes. The earlobes just keep growing down.
Yeah, the beard, but the hair goes down to parts of our body where we don't want it.
Yeah.
So the hair moves. It doesn't really. We don't lose it. It just goes to a new location.
Yeah,
the ears.
That's
fascinating. It's fascinating.
So I just gave you some useless fact.
Yeah, no, that was absolutely perfect. Oh, there's my husband's in the comment section. Hello, husband.
Hi,
hello, husband.
Hi.
He gets in trouble if he doesn't comment at least one thing.
Yeah, now he can go to sleep for the next 2 hours.
Yeah, now. Oh, and he's giving us some hearts.
Okay, good. We got some hearts.
Good job, babe.
Good. Yeah. Now you go to sleep. Now we'll talk to you another 2 hours. When you say, "Hey, great show."
Yeah, now we can say that. That's perfect.
Yeah, great show.
So,
yes.
Lauren, what would you like to talk about first? Where do we begin?
I went overboard and I'm sitting next to a whole bunch of pieces of equipment. Oh, I wanted to.
That's what we didn't explain to everybody, that you build equipment.
I build stuff.
Well, I did mention that because I said I can be the psychic and she could bring the equipment.
I'll bring all the equipment. It is nice because I exclusively now investigate with all my own equipment now. So I don't even really bring, other than if I'm like recording an experiment, I'll bring my camcorder. But other than that, all of my sort of investigative techniques are all now with my own equipment, which is really cool. So
that's awesome. I mean, I seen some of your equipment at Whitehill.
I had all that stuff set up.
Cool. You had it all set up, and I'm like, that's pretty cool. And I'm like, and you're like, I make that all myself. I'm like, wow. It's like me. I'm an electrician, but I'm not a technician, so I can't.
There, we're putting this little guy behind me because it has little.
Anthony, the Coco Tylos said first things first. Cannolis or tiramisu?
Which one?
So
this could be
I'm vegan.
Oh. Okay.
I'll tell you though. You give me some vegan tiramisu and I'll tear it up.
Yes.
So I honestly would. I had always picked. Okay, so I like both. Obviously, you can't not like both. I mean, I can't. I can only now have the vegan version, and I've only come across. Well, no, I've had some vegan cannolis. I am not like a crust person, so tiramisu is so perfect for me because it's all just wonderful creamy goodness, and the crust part, the lady fingers are like soaked in that espresso, and I'm like a caffeine addict. However, cannolis, I can't do the miniature cannolis. They have to be like the big cannolis where it's like more filling, like mascarpone and stuff, more filling than cookie crust, and they have to be fresh. I can't get it cold from like a bakery.
Yeah, but get them fresh. I get them. That's what I do. Get them fresh every time. Yeah.
And I wish I could find vegan both. Well, I can make vegan tiramisu. That's actually easy, but I wish I could find vegan cannolis more. Hi, Emily. Hi, Holly. I like all my friends are in the comment section right now. Hello, friends. Hello, my friends.
See, this is why I gave you the link so you could share it.
I did. I invited them all and I threatened them and I said, get on here and Say hello to me, my sweet darlings.
Yeah, I would. You threatening? I mean, I would take it seriously too, because you look like that kind of person. Like, hey, you do it. I don't want to
And
hear
I'm
nothing.
French
You
too.
do it.
I don't
You're
know if
French.
that means anything.
Oui, oui.
I'm sure there's some like scary French.
I guess.
Whatever. But yeah, so I hope that answers your question. Neither, because I'm vegan, but if they were vegan, tiramisu, then big cannolis.
Okay. You still said like cannoli, so it's okay.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me? Yeah. It's like they're like sweet burritos.
Okay.
Like a dessert cookie burrito.
They're like Italian tacos.
Yeah, it's like a because I would it's like a chalupa. It's like a delightful sweet chalupa.
Okay.
It's like every Mexican food under the sun, but sweet.
Yes, and I do love Mexicans, so that's a big compliment.
So let's get back to the paranormal. We're going into pastries now. It's a little.
I know. I could take a subject and I could probably talk about that subject for 2 hours, no matter what it is.
We could too. That's our problem.
We'll go down the rabbit hole. And it's usually about food. So, hi, Jenny.
Oh, I love food.
You know, with our paranormal investigation, we always have cannolis. Somebody brings cannolis.
Paranormal investigation and food go hand in hand. We love snacks.
They're like this.
Yeah. You got to have like your paranormal snacks. Mine are pickles and seaweed.
Okay. I like pickles and I like seaweed, but I don't know if I like the 3 o'clock in the morning, you know.
Oh, man. Pickles, the pickles hydrate you. Those are really good and hydrating. So after you've had those 4 Red Bulls, you have a couple nice dill pickles. You take a swig of that pickle juice. You're good. Yeah.
Keep me going.
Oh, my God. I love you. I drink pickle juice also. Oh. And Jolly Ranchers.
You should put Jolly Ranchers in the pickle water. They make those.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that.
Water?
I don't know. They like put a bunch of Jolly Ranchers in it in like one of those bag pickles, and then they see. Look, I'm back on food again. You should just tell me to shut up.
We really have to. Like,
you're kidding. That's one of our favorite subjects. If it's not paranormal,
I love food. I love food. I love feeding people because I'm vegan, and there's not a ton. I don't know a ton of vegans in the paranormal, so I always like to feed people because people think that we just like eat grass. No, man.
Well,
my favorite pastime is recreating all the good foods, but in vegan.
I'm a carnivore.
I used to be a carnivore. I get it.
Yeah, nothing like a nice, juicy steak.
I still could probably cook a steak better than most carnivores that I know. No offense.
Okay. So that sounds like a challenge to me.
I could sear you up. You got to do Delmonico, though. You can't mess with anything. You got to have a Delmonico cut. 4 minutes each side. Sear it. Do some rosemary butter.
That's my girl right there.
Got to keep that fat and gristle on there because that puts a lot of the flavor into the meat. You can't cut that stuff off. And if you can get it aged, even better.
Oh, yeah.
But I've been vegan for 6 years, so I don't do that anymore.
That's going to be our new snack. Our new snack is going to be steak.
I think tonight you might have a slippage after talking about all this food.
Oh, no. Oh, my gosh. I have overeaten so much meat. I'm good. I've eaten enough meat for the rest of my life.
Okay. I'm going to eat meat the rest of my life. I'm sorry.
I'm calling it. We got to get back.
I know. Yeah. Don't get me started on food. This is what I do.
No, this is what we do too. It's a bad combination.
How was that paranormal show? We talked about food the whole time.
We want to see some of your equipment.
Yeah, that's not food. Although I will say, I get the most comments on the crystal pods of people saying that they want to eat them.
Okay.
Like this is actually the first crystal pod that I ever made. This is the first original with all of its like, even the bottom of it looks like.
Oh, it's so pretty. Cool.
Yeah, this is the very first. This was kind of what sparked it. I made this for myself and I brought it to a a show, and everybody was like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's a REM pod that I made myself." And they were like, "Can I have it?" And I was like, "No." And then Dave Giuliano saw it at the Ohio State Reformatory, and same thing. He was like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's my REM pod. I used to own a yoga studio, so I had a ton of like crystals, and I've always been into building stuff, and I did not have like $200 to buy a REM pod when I started paranormal investigating. So I was always trying to find ways to like build myself stuff, and forbidden snacks. And so I built this for myself, and everybody lost their minds. And then Dave Giuliano was like, "If you don't start selling those, I'm going to come after you." So the rest is history. But this is my first one. But yeah, I would post crystal pods, and people would be like, "It looks like cake. It looks like, I don't know. Some of them look like cake, I guess. They look like cupcakes." And people are like, "I want to eat
what do
it."
you call those candies? The
Like rock candy?
Well,
rock candy.
rocks.
Pop rocks. No,
Oh man, I'll tear up some rock candy. I love that shit.
So this is all through Liliana Marie Creative.
So Liliana Marie Creative is like my LLC that houses all of my businesses.
Okay.
And then Laurenhaunts became a part of the LLC because it was easier to search for, and it was easier for people to remember. Instead of people like, oh, what was that website? Like Liliana Marie Creative. And it's so hard to remember something like that. So Laurenhaunts was available, bought it up, changed all the social media, and my business cards actually don't have any emails or websites on them, because if you search Laurenhaunts, I'm the first thing that comes up.
Okay.
Well, that's good.
That's a great
so
idea.
I slowly transitioned over to Laurenhaunts just as a way. So it's a lot easier for people to find me now. And it's worked out. But yeah, I used to be LMC. And now that's why this is old, because it's gold on the bottom too. Let's hope it's just going to be my retirement one day. It's going to be a collector's item, and it'll go up for auction one day, and it'll make millions of dollars.
You sign it.
I should sign it. I don't know. I always feel so weird about signing my equipment, but people have me sign it, so.
Okay. Weird. What do you have? A 3D printer for that, or you just?
No. So this is it's wood. I don't make anything with plastic. It's all wood, and then I do have a laser cutter and a laser engraver, and I actually get these circular boxes in bulk, and then I just dismantle them all, and then they go through like a torching process, all new hardware, everything gets reinforced, and then that's when like the top is added and all of the inside stuff is added. But nothing that I make is made out of plastic, other than, obviously some of the internal components. But everything I do is wood, and then just like the mechanical pieces, which of course there are some like plastic pieces on the mechanical stuff. But
that's nice.
Yeah,
Jenny said she's starting the bid at 3.2 million.
Jenny Davis?
No, Jenny Colucci.
Oh, just a smile and a wink. You can have it.
Okay, she'll take the first bid.
No, nobody can have it yet.
$3.2 billion. I think I would sell it.
It's my no. It's my. I don't know. I'm pretty.
Anya.
And I did just recently. It does work. I recently. Ooh, wow, that's really bright.
I don't know if it's Ron or Lourdes.
I think Ron, because Lourdes is on.
Yeah, Lourdes is on YouTube, and he's on YouTube too.
They're both on.
I'm looking at the
Cognac is Ron Yacovetti. You know Ron.
Yeah.
Yeah, him and Lourdes are on right now in the audience, both of them.
He said he wants one too. So
Hello,
now it's
my dears.
Now it's at 3.3 million.
3.3. All right. I'm gonna retire.
It's Lourdes. Amy Surratt wants to know, what are the specs for your REM pod?
What do you
Don't you
mean?
have a
What kind
class?
of? So in terms of specifications, I'm wondering in general. I mean, the ones that I sell they're all rechargeable. They have a removable antenna. Everything is essentially a modified alarm that I rip apart, add all new components on it, and put it inside of the crystal pod, which is a really interesting topic because in terms of specs when it comes to any proximity sensor, they all basically are all capacitive proximity sensors. Okay. So anything like the DOS REM pod that has the temperature deviation and the oscillator that makes it go are just kind of bells and whistles that they add to these things that don't really hold any value to the actual equipment. And that's not me bashing anything. The crystal pod and a lot of the proximity pods that make this noise are all made with the same components. When you get into DOS REM pod territory, Gary Galka, his is a modified theremin with a microcontroller on the inside. So he has code in there that's telling it what to do. And that temperature deviation ranges from about a 5-degree difference, and that's when it goes off. So really something that isn't super usable in the paranormal because, I mean, not to be crass, but like you fart and the temperature deviation goes off. And then in terms of I had one. You know what I mean when I go, woo, woo. Yeah. That's an oscillator inside of the capacitive proximity sensor. So basically it creates the field and it makes it go wow, wow, wow. And that's how it can tell the range of how far something is. But the range is only about 7 inches. So when I wanted to build proximity sensors, it's an incredibly easy and accessible piece of equipment. That's why I make them pretty. Because there aren't a lot of specifications across the board for proximity sensors that really make a difference in terms of use. That's why I teach a workshop about how to modify them and build them yourself. The majority of the people that I think buy crystal pods now are buying them as an art piece, not necessarily as, of course, they use them in the field, of course. But I never like to say all of these things are the same, but all capacitive proximity sensors in the paranormal are the same. They're either a theremin or they're an alarm. Crystal pod, it's just basically electromagnetic radiation or anything that's a conductor comes within its trigger range, which is about 6 or 7 inches. It goes off. It creates capacitance and it makes it go beep, beep, and the lights turn on. And just with any other proximity sensor, you're going to have your volatility with your two-way radios, your power lines, your cell phone, your internet. So I always tell people, even though this is a great basic, first piece of equipment, great gift, great thing to give people that are just starting out, and even, seasoned paranormal investigators use these, but I do a workshop to teach you a better way to use them, because no matter what the added specifications on a proximity sensor, it's still probably one of the most volatile pieces of equipment in the industry. They just have a lot of false positives. So I make other pieces of equipment that you can use in tandem with your REM pod or your crystal pod that sort of make them work a little bit better. And it's not temperature deviation. And I don't like to be like, oh, poo-poo on that. I mean, everything's all the same. That's literally why I cover mine in rocks, to make it pretty, to make it an art piece. But at the end of the day, I think it's how you use your piece of equipment, how you diversify your experimentation, and how you use multiple pieces of equipment that are not working within the electromagnetic spectrum that helps. That's right. That helps you gather more objective data. And also, I'm so sorry. You asked me one question and I went on a rant for an hour.
No, because it's very interesting, all that stuff, because any of the stuff could be set off by almost anything. We were one place and the antenna on our RAM pod, one of those stink bugs landed on it. And we're in the dark, so you think it's an alarm going off, and it's not. It was a stink bug
set it off, really?
Yeah, we were at Helderman Mansion, and we had it set up, and it kept on going off. The stink bugs all over the place.
Oh,
And it was like it went off, and you couldn't see it right away because it was dark. And then we shined the light on it. There's a freaking stink bug sitting on the top of the antenna,
just crawling on it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have thought. What was it? A DOS REM pod, or was it
it was a regular RAM pod,
like a black and red one?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm surprised that a stink bug set that off.
Yeah.
Have you built an intelligent array or swarm of REM pods? I'm going to be honest, Amy. When it comes to REM pods, I don't do a ton of experimentation just because of the volatility. So in terms of how they are triggered or how they're set off, capacitive proximity sensors work with sort of this ambient capacitance of things that are either like, I want to say, when I say theoretically, I'm going to put on my tinfoil hat because I don't mean scientifically theoretically. I mean personal theoretically, because there is no science backing when we talk about theory in the paranormal. If we're applying it to supernatural occurrences that we don't have any proof of.
Mm-hmm.
So like personally, theoretically speaking, when we talk about REM pods being set off by spirit energy, we don't know what the frequency of that energy is. We don't know if spirits are giving off radio waves. We don't know if they're giving off infrared waves. We don't know if they're giving off microwaves. So there's no way to create an intelligence for something that we don't have documentation for. Now, I'm sure it could be done, or when it comes to like a swarm or connected. I mean, there are pieces of equipment out there that are connected pieces of proximity sensors, but they're all still going to hold that volatility until you get into that department of like creating a program for electromagnetic radiation sensitivity, and then like dialing in so deep that you're seeing what frequency is setting it off. And that's just not something that I'm not interested in. It's just not on the front of my plate because my working personal theories are in more of the like kinetic energy, static, and movement sort of sector at the moment. But I mean, I'm sure because the DOS REM pod, if you open up that black and red circular, there is a microcontroller on the inside. So it is being programmed and told sort of what to do. The crystal pods are very analog. For the most part, they're analog. There's no like microcontroller. I don't have to program this for it to do what it's doing. So
that's interesting.
It could be done. You could write a program for that. It's just not in my working theory or the sector in which I'm most interested in. This is kind of something that I made for myself, and then people loved it. And now it's kind of like the art piece that I create for the paranormal community. And it's been amazing because I've had teams and we make like a team pod. People get them for birthday presents. People get them for gifts for their spouses. And they've turned into something so much more than like a REM pod. They're so personal. And it also, I think, works in that supernatural, like people that, you know, a little bit witchy really love these because then you have that applied like crystal magic and energetic work and things like that. So you can charge this under the full moon. You can put, you know, your power crystals on there. And then again, if we're working in that like supernatural theory sort of idea, in the paranormal, I think people could probably accurately say that they have had more personal experiences than they have electrical interaction occurrences. We've felt things, experienced things, heard things with our bodies, with our senses. And so that's why the wood, the crystals, the personal connection that you make with your piece of equipment, which is why I've seen, and this is not any sort of scientific proof, this is just personal experience of connecting with a piece as like a practitioner of witchcraft, of this interacting with an environment so much different than its plastic counterparts. Not saying that it does, But in my experience in using stone tape theory is probably absolute bullshit, but it's an interesting, excuse my language, it's an interesting idea that we can insert our energy into minerals, wood, and these sort of like porous materials.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes that might help in a situation. So it's really cool to take something like this. And then I do have some of it, the plastic counterparts. And every once in a while, I'll go out and I'll do an experiment where I'll have the crystal pod, and then I'll have some plastic pieces, and I'll just kind of gauge and see, what's interacting with what. But yeah, as for sort of like hive mind mentality when it comes to REM pods in general, it's not in my working sort of the work that I'm experimenting with right now.
Mm-hmm. What I find interesting about that is that the wood is more of a natural part of everything. It's just wood. It's natural.
Yeah.
The plastic is not. It's a man-made thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say more of the natural thing, especially with the witchy stuff and everything else, and just next door there. And with all the witchy stuff and everything, more of a natural thing. So these things have been around for thousands of years, wood and stuff, and that was also used for the paranormal back when a lot of because I'm worrying May was around, So, and then you got the natural. I would say what you have is that's a great theory that would bring, more of a spirit and everything around.
It like attunes itself to a space a little bit faster.
Yeah.
And I do try to keep the natural. So all of my paints are all like water-based acrylic washes. I do put like a UV protectant on them just to protect the wood, but everything goes through sort of like a 4-element process. So you have earth, which is like the wood and the crystals. You have fire. I torch all the devices. All the wood gets sort of like this torching where you can start to see the grain.
So you're putting all the elements into it pretty much.
Yeah, I put all the elements in it. And then you have water, which is cool. the water-based. And then air is also, the crystals and drying time and shit. But excuse my language. Yeah. But well,
the drying time is the air.
Yeah, you have all 4 elements sort of. And then the crystals are all placed. Everything's done by hand. I'm not just dunking this into a vat of crystals and it's covered in crystals. I individually, no matter how many I make, and I've had people say like, why don't you have somebody come help you put crystals on? And I'm like, no, like it's a process. It's a ceremony almost to adorn every single crystal pod is completely unique. Even the ones that people like, the amethyst pods, they're all individual and all completely unique. None of them look alike.
Now you make me not want to use my RAM pod anymore.
Oh, no. As long as you use it. There are so many great ways that you can use your, because at the end of the day, it's a proximity sensor. But if you want to get which one?
Yeah, nice classy one. Because the one I have, you can see it's actually the round part is actually the plastic. It's what they use for plumbing. It's actually a connection between 2 pipes. I was in construction, so I've seen all these things. And you look at it on the side, and it's like, that's what they used to use for plumbing. They use for plumbing. It's a PVC pipe. It's a connector for two pipes to go together. That's all it is. Does
it say REM pod really big around the edge of it and has a red top and a black base?
It's an old one. I got them when they first started coming out with the RAM pods.
Got it.
That's all it is. It's a piece of plumbing part.
It's a Tupperware collection.
So Gary Galka is the person that kind of like coined bringing proximity sensors into the paranormal space. And it was in 2004 after his daughter passed away, and he sort of wanted to get a little bit deeper into the paranormal because he wanted to contact his daughter. And very, heart goes out to, because I think a lot of people come into this industry because we have, either lost people in our families, or we sort of question our own mortality and we want to know what's coming next. But a lot of people do know that he made the Das REM pod out of a theremin musical instrument, which was an instrument that was very, very popular in like the 20s, 30s, 40s. It's in a lot of horror movies. So like the scary part of the movie where it's like, that's a theremin. And I do that impression all the time. That's why I'm so good at it.
See that? Hey.
But it had
that's like your big talent, is what you're saying.
Yeah. What are you known for? Impersonating a theremin. Oh, that's great. That's great. Famous.
Yeah. So we need music for the show. We know where to go.
Yeah. But it was a proximity sensor. It's a capacitive proximity sensor that has two antennas, one for pitch and one for volume. And then it would kind of create this invisible array, this energy field. And the player would use two hands, and they would kind of it was very magical looking, very like futuristic and high tech. And it's so cool. If you look up on YouTube, like there's people that still play them professionally. It is an incredible instrument. And it was the result of the Soviet government doing experimentation and research on proximity sensors. And one of their scientists created this proximity sensor. And, after they were all said and done, he was like, oh, well, I'm going to take this and patent it. And it's a musical instrument. So it's my favorite fun fact. And then Gary Galka was like, this would make a cool, because it's spooky sounding, spooky looking, very mystical. And he, created the Das REM pod with that. So, and then we have, tons of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different kinds of proximity sensors. And they are all the same. They're all the same. They might work within different frequencies. I was at Hillview Manor in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, and I had just brought them 6 crystal pods to sell inside their store. Hillview Manor is the first place I ever sold a crystal pod. So I bring them like the original version, like basically just the very simple version, no fancy removable antennas, rechargeable, nothing, just a very brass tacks version, and they sell it for the original price. And that's the only place that I do that, just as a way, because that's where I sold my first crystal pod. And everybody that works there has a crystal. It's amazing. Hillview Manor is like the official crystal pod headquarters. Yeah. And I went and I dropped off some, and we had 6, plus then we had 7, 8. We had like 8 crystal pods all around in this big circle. And when a radio wave would come through, there's a very specific sound that this Das REM pod, everything like that, makes when a radio wave comes through. And it was interesting because there were 3 that were really hitting this rogue radio wave, and then one random one would. So they were working within different sort of frequencies of radio waves, even though they're all the exact same piece of equipment. And you'll find that even though Das REM pod is manufactured specifically, you'll still find that they will sometimes, one will, catch a radio wave and go off, and the other one won't. And we'll see that as paranormal activity when it could be a false positive. And the unfortunate part when it comes to rogue radio waves is that there's no way to debunk that, because it's not predictable. It's not consistent. And I feel like that is the top reason for false positives when you have an investigation solely using EMF sensitive trigger sort of alarm objects.
A lot of things set them off. I did an investigation over by LaGuardia Airport over in Queens.
Oh my gosh. Say less.
And I had my K2 kept on going off. And I just kept figuring out the time. It's like, it's like every 20 minutes, 30 minutes, something like that. And it was going to red. And then like every 15 minutes it was like going into yellow. And I'm like, okay, now listen, I'm going to sit here and just listen. I was by the airport. and I was over by where the runway is.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I used to hear the engine revving for the airplane, they're spiking to red.
Oh yeah.
Okay, because the tower was right there too. And then I'm like, okay, now I understand why that's going to red every so, because it's the airplane, the signals from the airport. So I was starting to listen, and it was going to yellow. So I wonder what the yellow is. And I listened. I just sat there nice and quiet. Helicopters. Every time a helicopter went overhead, it turned yellow. So it was the signals from the airport.
Yeah.
From the airplane or from the helicopter, and it must have been different frequencies, because that's why one was spiking to red and one's just in yellow.
Well, you have shortwave and long wave. Like shortwave and long wave radio waves are going to trigger a little bit differently. Long wave radio waves aren't going to go as far as shortwave radio waves are going to travel miles and miles and miles, and they might. But it's interesting that you say that too, because it's almost like that's a lucky thing that you were able to notice that, because it happens all the time. If you're inside of a location and a police officer drives by and they just happen to be using their radioing back at the station, you could catch one of those waves, but it's not guaranteed. So it's so unpredictable sometimes with the false positives. And as much as we want to talk about debunking, you can't always debunk that. So the best thing that you can do is set up your experiment with things that are not triggered by the electromagnetic spectrum. Like what, Lauren? I'm so glad you asked. Because what I am doing now is I'm working a lot with static sensors and motion sensors, and static sensors specifically I brought a little an experiment to show you guys.
Okay.
This is my favorite experiment. So this is the sear pod. See, I even have like a little table set up so you can see my stuff. Sear pod and a crystal pod. And the biggest reason why sometimes our REM pods will go off at an investigation.
Right.
So if we turn on our sear pod, so this is a static electricity emissions responder. It's a very famous, very fancy name for just a static sensor. So when you turn it on, it's pretty sensitive. Like if I run my fingers a lot through my hair.
Yeah, it started flip.
Yeah, the static discharge. I think I ran out of my static in my hair. I don't know. I conditioned my hair, but you saw it. You saw it come off.
Yeah, I seen a little light.
This will go off with, there it goes.
There it goes. Yeah.
It'll go off with like static discharge. So if you have static in your hair, static on your hands, anything like that, but it has to be pretty close to the little antennas on here. So if you set something like this up right next to your crystal pod, and we have, oh man, my little table's not big enough. And we have our crystal pod on, and we have our two-way radio. I'm going to bring the Tesla over here. I should bring the Tesla over here so you guys can see it. Let's see. And we have our two-way radio. And we do a two-way radio. It's going to set this off, but it's not going to set off the static sensor. Okay. And then if I were to bring over that Tesla coil that I have back here, and I were to turn that on, you would see that electrostatic discharge setting off the static sensor, and then the discharge bolts setting off the crystal pod. And the Tesla coil is electrostatic, or even like me, I can set off this and I can set off the crystal pod because I'm not a radio wave. But a radio wave won't set them off. It'll just set off the crystal pod. Does that make sense? So like doing things like that, because then in your investigation, if you have a static sensor, and there's like a handful of different static sensors on the market, you know that if a radio wave comes through, it might set off your REM pod, but it's not going to set off your static sensor.
I got a question on that too, because, a thunderstorm, you got static electricity. Would that set off the static?
I haven't had
if
it
the
to
lightning come on or something, or
if the lightning is in close, like if the lightning is close enough to set off the REM pod, it'll set off the seer. Yeah.
Yeah, because you got the discharge,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you're going to have that static in the air,
Yes.
and that's just the only thing, the
Yeah.
static from the
But
discharge or the neutrons.
it's
or
not a radio wave.
Neutrons, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
it's
you'll
not a
know,
radio wave.
obviously, the lightning, you know that the lightning, and then if they both go off and you're like, what do these things have in common?
Yeah, but you're right with the static. It doesn't from a wave. It doesn't go off through waves. You're right about that,
Yeah.
and that's very interesting on that. Yeah,
So it's like one little thing that you can add in that sort of creates a little bit more, objectivity, because I think the biggest thing that's the hardest for paranormal investigators to debunk are radio waves with their EMF equipment. It's radio waves. We could probably debunk a lightning bolt because we know a lightning bolt happened and then our pods went off. We could debunk a human.
The thunder between that and everything.
Exactly.
Else. So, Todd, I seen that you do use a dead bell.
Okay, so
because the Todd and Camilla, they investigate with us a lot, and the dead bell, they have a dead bell, and it works out pretty well. Have
you tried to point a two-way radio at it?
Something? No, because they pretty much use it when I'm, when I am there. But no, I haven't.
I would
have really two-way radios. Would it then the cell phone set it off then too?
No, not necessarily, because a cell phone doesn't always set off a REM pod either.
Yeah. Okay.
So get a walkie-talkie and point a walkie-talkie at it. I don't have a dead bell. I think they're beautiful, and I love when people have them because I think it's such a cool piece of equipment.
Yes, I do too.
I will say, so natural EMF exists everywhere, and I'm always interested when equipment claims that it only registers natural EMF, what frequency they're talking about. Because you have natural EMF like infrared in human beings. You have, if we were to have special glasses that were EMF glasses and we looked around, that's so much fun. And it doesn't mean that it's a bad piece of equipment, because I'm trying not to cuss. It's so up my alley. It's such a cool piece of equipment. It's so beautiful. And like the aesthetic is, I am there for it. And I do like that you can adjust. When you're adjusting the sensitivity on those, make sure you're taking like an hour to work out the sensitivity. Adjust it, step away, use a two-way radio, use your hands. But turn up that sensitivity, point a two-way radio at it. And it doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. I'm just always wondering what frequency they're meaning, because we have natural EMF that occurs infrared human beings. Microwave, in microwaves. But if we had EMF glasses and we looked around, microwaves would be it's literally like the sound of the universe is microwaves. Gamma radiation comes from the moon. In terms of radiation, the moon is brighter than the sun. So electromagnetic radiation, especially naturally occurring, is like everywhere. So I always wonder when equipment is like, it only detects natural. It's interesting because it's how. I'm not sure how. So experiment with that. I would love to hear about that. I would love to experiment with a dead bell. I would love to experiment with so much equipment, but it's also like, I can't spend $200 on a piece of equipment just to experiment with it. So I just try to catch.
Tell us what you want to do with the dead bell, and I'll, send it to me. I'll send it to Tom.
Take a video. Two-way radio. Point a two-way radio at it. If anybody has like a Tesla, would be really cool to point at it. See how close a human being can get to it. Maybe in a basement, set up a table next to an electrical box. Do things like that, just to see if it's going off, because it's so tough to differentiate between man-made and natural occurring electromagnetic radiation in something that is a $200 piece of equipment. Yeah. That's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. dead bell's gorgeous. I wish I would have thought of it first.
Yeah, so it's cool. When I first brought it, and we had good results. We were at a I think it was the public house in Jersey somewhere. I think it's Jersey. I go to so many places I forget what the hell they are. But the public house, and one the guy Richard that was there, and it's me and Jenny, and he goes, "Let's take a picture, the three of us." And he goes, "Okay," on the count of three. 1, 2, and all of a sudden, bing! Goes, it did 3. So let's try it again. So we wanted to try. So we did it again. Richard counted 1, 2, bing! It was like counting off with us.
The funny thing is let me guess, you didn't get it on video.
Yes, they did.
Oh, cool. Oh, good. Because I always hear these awesome stories, and I'm like, did you get it on video? And they're like, no. And I'm like, that always happens.
Yeah.
Well, they did something really interesting. So I think they were home, and they sent me 2 videos. They asked questions, and there was one time where the spirit rang the bell and the plunger hit. And
that's awesome. That's why I love the dead bell.
And there was another time where the spirit hit it and the plunger didn't hit it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that is freaking weird. Like,
I love that those 2 options are on that piece of equipment. It's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, but he got a video.
He'll send you the video.
Thank you. I love seeing videos. Yeah, I love seeing stuff. I don't even believe in ghosts, guys.
I did that. Yeah, 1, 2, bing!
I love that. Especially if it happened consecutively, like more than once. Is the bell in the video too?
And it goes 1, 2, a second, and then bing! It's like, oh wow, it was really cool. Like it was like right on the call.
I love
that. Like they're telling us, take your picture.
Is the bell in the video too?
I believe so. Yes.
I love that.
We love.
You see me. My ass was in the picture a little bit too. So
that's perfect. That's perfect. We like your ass.
Big thing going by and black. It's like a lunar eclipse, and
I love it. I'm here for
it. Yeah. So yeah, it was pretty good piece of equipment. Yeah.
We did the Masonic Lodge in. I hope the dogs don't bark too much. My daughter just got home from work.
I love dogs. It's fine.
Not after you hear them bark.
I don't please. I can hear them.
They're not crazy yet.
You're saying hi to me.
We did the Masonic Lodge in.
Love Masonic lodges.
Where was it, Anthony? It wasn't Trenton. It was
Bayonne, New Jersey.
So the Coco Tylos, we call them the Cocos. We're sitting in the room where they do all of their rituals, and I was sitting on the floor, and I'm like, we had all of our equipment out. I was encircled by the rope. We had whatever is going on. So they had the Phasma box on their tablet. I had the Pana box in my hand, and I said, let's play trivia with them. I get a kick out of playing trivia with the spirits. I just think that it's hysterical. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting on the floor. They're over there, like sitting in the seats. They had the Phasma box open. I don't know if it was necromancy or whatever.
Necrophonics.
And necrophonics. They had the dead bell out.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for them to answer through the Pana box. They couldn't hear it because it's really like quiet. I would give them the answer that came through that. They would tell me whatever was the response on whatever they were using. And I said, who is the president of the United States? And it said, Joseph Biden. That was the very first thing that we were doing. So I said, Phasma box odium. Yeah. So I said, Joseph Biden. And they were like, whoa. There was an answer out of whatever they had. We talked about it, and you hear, ding. It was like they were responding to whatever we were talking about. And it was like funny stuff. Whatever we would say, we were like, if we didn't like something that we were talking about, if we were like, the whole tiramisu and cannoli thing, and we were like, doing it, right? And I was like, it's always going to be tiramisu. And they were like, oh, cannolis. And I'm like, you guys are idiots because you like that. You hear ding.
Like, Mom and Dad, stop fighting.
Yeah, the spirits were like, right, ding. It went on for like, so we were cracking up laughing over this stuff. It was hysterical. Like, they will tell you whether they like what you're talking about or not.
That was interesting, that bell.
So it's interesting because occurrences like those are what sort of really push me to think that like, this is total left field, that what we deem as these deceased energies, these spirits, I personally think that we are interacting with sort of different dimension existence, not necessarily deceased individuals. So there's a few parts to this.
So do you think it's like us, like a couple minutes back and forth, or?
No, I'm talking like total beings that aren't even humans, that they might be completely beyond us. Because for me, it's like, imagine if you are a nature photographer and you're going out and you want to photograph this like very elusive creature that not a lot of people know about. You're not going to go out, into the jungle in bright polka dots and, a blowhorn. That's not how you're going to get the photos of this creature. You're going to disguise yourself as like the environment, and you're going to try to really like be like creep in and maybe use like a cuckoo, like if you're, the animal call to get these photos. And I'm like, what if that is what's happening in this supernatural sector? We have these beings, whatever, whoever, wherever, and they are trying to interact with us that they know are here. It totally exists to them. It's not even a question, because it's just some sort of like advancement in either, mental ability or psychic ability. But they're like, don't scare them. Let's just use the people call. And it's like, I'm your Aunt June. And like, that's the call. Or like, I'm your deceased mother. Hello, darling. In order to get us to interact. Or like, oh no, they love Abraham Lincoln. Pretend you're Abraham Lincoln and they'll talk to you. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's interesting. We are like looking for the dead, when in reality, who's to say it's not a whole, like, so much bigger, and they're just interacting with us in the way that we need to be interacted with, because we're not ready to experience that kind of existence. And
like an ascended master.
Like what?
Like an ascended master, because they're not going to look at all like Aunt June or,
but in order to interact with us, and this goes back even in like so many different religious beliefs too, this idea that like you can't lay your eyes on God because your brain can't comprehend it. You can't look at an angel without like bursting into flames because you just can't comprehend that kind of majesty. And maybe there's some like weird supernatural truth to that, but it's not deities and religious, gods, angels, demons, whatever. It's this whole other realm, this whole other dimension of existence that we will probably never comprehend. And that is just their way of interacting with us, is kind of playing these deceased individuals. Because to know something like who's the president, Joseph Biden, a historic figure, doesn't watch the news in a haunting. Like how all of a sudden are they this like know all be all existence? Well, maybe because it's not a dead person. Maybe it's because it's an interaction that we're having with a complete dimension, a different dimension of existence. I should really keep my tinfoil hat on for this. So if I'm ever in a haunt and I'm like by myself and I'm getting a little creeped out, this is a true story, all the time by myself, I'll walk around and I'll like just get like real confident and I'll go, I know what you are. I know what you are. Don't pretend like you're my mom or nothing. I know what you are, guys. All by myself. That's what I do. And it usually makes me feel better. Until one day when they're like, you do? And I'll shit myself and leave. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
It's
they're going to appear to you. Then you're going to be like.
And then I'm just going to be like, this is going to be me for the rest of my life.
Like,
what the hell happened to Lauren? I have no idea.
They just put her in a new white jacket that the arms tied together.
Pretty much.
And one of those new fangled cells that have pads on the wall.
Yeah. It's the newest fad at Hot Topic, the straight jacket.
It's so funny that you were saying that, because I did that with like another place. I have a friend who, she came from Russia, and she's like, there's stuff in my house. And I said, I know. There's a man standing on like your balcony to your stair. Like, she has like a sprawling staircase. And she said, there's someone that's like always in my basement. So when I go down there, I literally see like men in black. There are these men that look like they're from the 50s with like the, you know, the cat eye glasses, and
they're like, oh shit, this one can see us. Hurry, get in costume.
Yeah. They were like, this is probably not the best idea for us to be standing here. And like they were smoking and everything. Like, so I put on the Panda box and I said, you know, I'm here with my friend and her daughter, and I would like to get some information from you. You know, are you not happy that she's here? And they were like, no, really mad. And I said, why don't you like them? And they were like, they're commies. And I said, no, they're actually not. You know, that's not the way things are anymore. And I'll show you. I scrolled through my phone and I showed when it was no longer the USSR.
Yeah.
And I said, who's the president of the United States? Ronald Reagan. Clear as day. We were cracking up laughing.
It's when the wall went down in the 80s. And that's when Russia and United States, you know.
Mm-hmm. I said, this woman's basically housing you.
Yeah.
She's a Republican. She has money. She doesn't want to go back to Russia. Do you think that maybe you can get along? Absolutely not. We're sending her back.
Aww. She's getting deported by ghosts.
I said, I have news for you. She's staying here. And if you'd like to stay here, you're going to have to, you know, agree to get along. And he said,
it's not every day you can say that you were threatened deportation by ghosts.
Yeah, I know.
Back to the USSR. I said, I can see you and I can send you out of here. I will deport you. And I watched him go like this. Who said you have that ability? I said I have that ability, so you better get along. She said things changed like immediately. They were putting on
a lot of power in conviction, if you want to go in like the witchcraft sector.
Mm-hmm. Because I always tell them, I am more powerful than you because I actually have a physical body and you don't. Mm-hmm. And I know how to do things that you can't. And if you think you can walk your shiny black shoes towards me and do something, I can walk your shiny black shoes out the door. And she said things have been very different. They were doing dishes for her in the middle of the night. Crazy.
Oh, I want that.
Yeah.
I think they felt bad.
I'm going to get one of those.
Yeah, I know. We got to get some ghosts that want
right?
to.
Hey, I'm Russian. I'm French.
Yeah, I'm Italian, so.
They felt, I guess they felt bad, but there is still something in her house, whatever was standing on the top of whatever. Her daughter was seeing the Hat Man when she was a child.
That's a common one.
Yeah. I was pushed down the stairs at her house like the second day I was there.
That's interesting. Hat Man usually shows up with like sleep paralysis and stuff.
Well, her daughter was in bed.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Hat Man, that's such a cool, like, that's a cool rabbit hole to go down. Catman.
Yeah. Like where did it come from? Why is
Oh
it
my
there?
gosh. It was like a creepypasta, but it came from like people experiencing that during sleep paralysis. And it's such a cool, I don't want to call it a story because I, believe people experience manifestations of that, but it's so cool.
That and the Black-Eyed Children.
Oh yeah.
That's my favorite.
I mean, until like you open your door and there are some there.
Well, you gotta let them in.
So, well, we want to see some more equipment.
Oh, where's
Anthony, you're such an electrician.
Yeah, I want to see some equipment here. Hey. Oh, well, yeah, that's so cool.
That looks like something out of Supernatural.
So you know what? I'm going to put this to the side. I'm going to bring this big guy up because this is the piece that sort of started me on my motion sensing journey. So I've gotten really into like motion sensors, and
That's so cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Isn't it pretty?
Well,
I'm trying to like.
That looks like you could have a puppet show with it too.
So it was modeled after a old 1800s pinhole camera.
Ooh, cool.
And I actually, where is that? It's a whole thing. So my work with my dog's under here, and she's so cute. She's like, "Mom, what are you doing? Who are you talking to?"
We need
so
to
my work with static electricity moved me into like the results of static buildup in a space, how is static created? You have kinetic energy. And in order to have kinetic energy, you have to have mass. That creates the static discharge. The discharge can in turn create a little burst of EMF. So with my static pods, I wanted to also incorporate detecting those objects with mass to try to start predicting these occurrences of pockets of static electricity. And then if you think about how, again, that kinetic energy, something with mass has to be either moving through the air or through the, you get what I'm saying? I was going to get really technical with it and then I lost my words. So in order to sort of slice through and create this imbalance of electrons and create this static discharge, you have to have that mass. And to predict mass moving objects, you have to be able to sense movement. And with static, being able to predict things like a portal opening up, tinfoil hat, I can't reach it. It's on my head. Pretend like it's on my head. A portal opening up for things to either come and go into this realm of existence, or even just shadow people, or like visual manifestations of things that have that mass, that can move things, that can open cupboards, that can open doors, things like that. In order to be able to do things like that, other than telekinesis, you have to have some kind of, say it with me, mass. So I wanted to make a line of motion sensing, but I wanted it to be able to not just sense like humans, but also I did a lot of testing with like, so if you were to put a piece of clear, super, super clear glass in front of a motion sensor, it wouldn't detect it because it would just go right through it, depending on the motion sensor. And so I started to use glass that had different levels of, why don't I have words? Not fogged, tint to them, okay, to try to amp up the sensitivity of the motion sensors.
Mm-hmm.
So I built this and I wanted to model it after a pinhole camera. I'm really into sort of that like spooky, like 1800s World Fair aesthetic, where a lot of the supernatural and paranormal like popularity came from. It came from that sort of like mid 1800s, 1850s. Mm-hmm. That's when a lot of that occult psychics, table tipping, all that stuff was really popularized in like the late 1800s.
Yeah,
And
1848 is when it first started with these Fox sisters.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And so, and I wanted to really like honor that in the line of motion sensing stuff, because I think my aesthetic is very like Victorian, and I'm just leaning into that. But this motion sensor is called the Ethereal Eye, and it uses, I'm really theatrical too. Like I even put really cool schematics on the back. Is that fun?
Oh, but you don't have that in there. The tubes.
No, I wish. I do have crystals. I have crystals on top though.
That's
crystals
so
on everything.
That's cool.
So this uses ultrasonic sound, passive infrared, and microwave motion sensing technology. So all three together. And what makes it a little bit different than a lot of now this, I will say, I like to say before I show this off, this will never be recreated for sale. Wah, wah. This travels with me. So if you ever want to experience the Ethereal Eye, you go, hey, Lauren, come hang out with us. And I, bring this. This is for YouTube, content creation, whatever. That's what this is for. The reason what makes it unique is that it comes with an interface on my computer. You hook it up to the computer, and the computer becomes this home base. And it has rolling trigger data with timestamps of like when it is set off. And the ultrasonic sound gives you an actual measurement of how far something is away from the box. And then you have the trigger data for the passive infrared and the microwave motion sense. So this is like my signature baby. This is my piece of beautiful equipment that I love. And then this started the Ethereal Eye collection of motion sensing equipment that I do sell. And the first piece that just recently came out is called the Nova. And it is a microwave motion sensor, and it is called the Nova because in the galaxy, in the universe, you find naturally reoccurring microwaves, often in like newly formed stars and that sort of cosmic dust. Yeah. So this is named the Nova, and it's fun. It has like a star on the front,
cool.
And then the front of it, I don't know.
It looks very like the TV show Supernatural. That's what it reminds me.
I want every piece of equipment that I make to feel so special and magical. And so the cool thing about this is it's a microwave motion sensor. And with a lot of microwave motion sensors, they're very like omnidirectional. So they have this 360 degree, which is cool until somebody behind the wall or downstairs is moving and you're not realizing it, and it's going off and you have a camera on it and you have no way of really debunking that later on. So this was built to have a sort of like unidirectional, where it goes about 2 feet out to the side, and then it goes about 10 to 15 feet in front of it, and it comes back, and it doesn't register behind it. So you can set this up, point it into a room or point it down a hallway, and you know that you are controlling where the sensor range is.
So it's like 120 degree?
It's not, rather than 360, it's more like it's like an oval. So I make user manuals for all of my equipment.
Oh, that's so cool.
So that's another thing that I have
a lot of equipment again, you're like, okay, what am I doing with this now? And you're like,
that's another issue that I sometimes have. So this is the device, and then this is kind of the trigger range that you're working with.
Okay. So it's like 3. You got what?
It's like it goes a little bit. Like if you come up right behind it, you'll set it off. But you have a lot more control on where you're setting this device. So it's a little bit more objective, and you can use it in more spaces. The biggest feedback that I got from microwave motion sensors was that it was just, you would set it and then it's like you didn't know if you were setting it off, if somebody else, like it was hard to tell without everybody dancing and getting far away from it and dancing until it stopped going off.
Yeah.
So that's a fun party, though.
It is a fun party. It is a fun party, but it's also very time consuming sometimes. So this kind of stops that. And then, I did want to.
It's worth it, you know. It's well.
I
worth
wanted
it.
to. This was how serious I got about making everything very like Victorian. I actually went to Gettysburg and I had tin types done.
Ooh.
There it goes. Yeah, this was the color version of the tin type that we did.
Oh, wow.
This is the actual tin type. I got tin types done of me with my equipment.
I think I seen it on your Facebook page. Do you have it on your page?
Yeah, this is how theatrical I am.
She's like, that's so cool. I mean,
I'm committed.
I love dressing up.
Oh my God, me too.
Oh my God, let's just do that like every weekend and we'll meet somewhere.
I'm telling you right now, I was just volunteering at the Indiana State Sanitarium for it was a dirt bike and 4-wheeler race. Me and my friend Natalie from ACG Paranormal brought our red.
We just lost you.
Oh no!
You're very low.
Hello.
You're very low.
Hello.
Oh no!
I can hear you, but
I was so excited to hear the story.
Oh, I found it. Here I am.
There you go.
It dropped out. Okay, we're just gonna hold it. Me and Natalie from ACG Paranormal, we brought our Ren Fair stuff and we went to Billy Creek Village, which is like this really cute little kind of village that has all these historic buildings that they put all together to make this cute little town. And we just ran around there and took all these Maureen, you would love them because they are witchy AF. We had one, I brought smoke bombs and I had a cauldron and I had an incense burner and we had the smoke bombs and we were casting spells and taking pictures. Gorgeous. I'll never stop dressing up. I don't care how old I am. I'll never, ever stop dressing up.
When I do parties where I go to read and whatever, I have an entire closet of clothes that I could choose from.
Dude, people, it feels so magical when you can become a character. I don't care how old you are. People find that so magical and they just want to be near it because it just feels so cool. So yeah, no, I loved her. I just posted a collage on my Instagram of 9 different photos of me in different get-ups. And that was my it says she's a 10, but she's a time traveling shapeshifter. And it's me in all of these different personas. And I'm like, man, I really do love dressing up a lot.
I don't like to dress up in dresses to go to weddings and whatever, but I'll go full gambit when it comes to dressing different eras. Viking, I did a Viking wedding. I had to officiate a Viking wedding. Ooh. Full makeup, braided hair.
I'll go full out. If you saw pictures of me as Tessa, I full out. I'll dress up. I'll go all. I dyed my hair. I was waiting to see if I could find a parka that matches hers, just in case they have another season, so I can have more Tessa clothing. But so I'm really committed to that. And then I feel like that's probably also why I make my equipment the way that I do, because there's something so cool about connecting with your tech in such a personal way. If it feels magical, not only are you going to want to use it more, but you're going to have this connection with it. And like I said, I feel like as paranormal investigators, we can really probably all agree that we have the personal experiences are what is so meaningful to us. Yes, the validation's very cool, but we wouldn't keep going if we weren't having personal experiences. So to create something that feels personal and magical, I feel like that plays a part in how well something works, which is why I love the Dead Bell so much. Because it's just that it feels magical. It feels special, and you want to utilize it, and you want to
that
connect
old
to
type
it.
of thing that in school or at the
Oh my
library,
God, I
or
love it.
when you used to go to hotels, ding, ding, ding. Yeah.
Obsessed. Obsessed.
I think that was such a great piece of equipment. And
So
like you
cool.
said, I would like to have it, but
Yeah, they're expensive. And now don't get me wrong, this piece of equipment is the same price. But
it's
so
pretty.
this
It's nice.
is well, I'm gonna turn off my lights here for a second. You like how I go cordless with my microphone so that I can walk
Yeah,
around?
I think it's great.
I'm so ADHD. So this is it's the Nova. It's a microwave motion sensor. You saw sort of the trigger range. What makes this a little different is that it's meant to be used with a camera, because I am a big advocate for like setting your baseline, setting up an experiment in a way that you can create this objective data that you can go back on, and you can really sort of create this picture of activity. And it's not based on how you tell the story. So it's not like I was in a haunted location and my REM pod went off. Well, a lot of things could set your REM pod off. So how is that sort of objective? This kind of puts a lot of different factors together that you can create an interesting piece of. I like how it's turned on and it's just like shining. It's so pretty.
I like that back there. That's cool.
I know, I love it. It's really cool, like atmospheric. You can create a really cool piece of data with this because its trigger range is about 10 to 15 feet. And what makes it different is it doesn't just make noise, it illuminates its entire trigger range. So you set this up in an area, in a hallway, in a room, and you put a camera on it. No night vision on the camera. You just put a camera on it. It preliminarily sets itself off so that you can create a baseline visual. So the light will turn on for 7 seconds. And then in that 7 seconds, your camera will capture 7 seconds. And you can sort of have this baseline of like, where are the shadows? Where is everything in this room? We can see everything. And then throughout your investigation later on, if it's triggered, you have another 7 seconds that you can compare with your original 7 seconds. And you can see, did something move? Is something moving? Is it casting a shadow? Is something, so you have this side-by-side comparison of here's where we set it up, here's where it was triggered. Let's put these on top of each other and show you the difference between first picture and second picture. Because when it comes to visual data, if somebody has a picture of like a shadow figure, one of the first questions I ask is, do you have a photo before and do you have a photo after? And if you just have one photo, it's not really a compelling piece of data because I don't know what that room looks like without that shadow figure. So it's always that picture before, picture after. And this sort of creates that picture before, picture during sort of thing. So it comes with either a white or a red light, or you can choose both for $5 more. And we'll use the red light. The red light's really great if you're going to be in the room with the device. The white light is great if you're just going to set it up with a camera. And the spooky tone my husband made, he's a musician. And it's only 3 notes. It's not really anything impressive, but he's going to write all the music for all of my equipment. Just so it's not licensed work. It's all original. The tones are all original.
Copyrights and all that nonsense.
Yeah. So you turn it on and it flashes first, and then
That's so cool.
So that's the initial setup. It's going to go off because I'm right up next to it. And then it has a mute button, so you can turn off the sound if you want, so that it's just the light. And if I go really still.
You look so creepy.
I'm not going to move. But then if I move, it turns on again and the mute's off. But so you can do the red light, you can do the white light, and it doesn't seem bright, but we put it in, how big was that room in Hillview Manor? It was probably, it was bigger than my living room. My living room's like 700 square feet. We have a ridiculous living room. It's obscene. It's like the whole bottom floor. So it was bigger than 700 square feet. And this light, because it was pitch black, lit up the entire room. So you can see shadows being cast. You can see if something has just even the little bit of mass, shadow figures, any kind of like amalgamation of energy moving around the room. You should be able to see it when this goes off. And it's triggered by microwave, which is very different than like passive infrared. Passive infrared, which is a very common, affordable motion sensor. It has to be triggered by something that's radiating that infrared electromagnetic radiation, like human beings. It has to be something that's like warm-blooded, basically. This, if I were to just throw something in front of it, like a basketball, it would go off. So no matter what. So it catches if a door is opening, if a cabinet door opens, if something gets knocked over, if a chair gets pulled out, it will trigger super quick. I mean, it's fast. I chose a 10.5 gigahertz, microwave motion sensor that's in there. So it's super, super fast. And it just radiates out. It's like Doppler radar with the weather. Same thing.
That's good because like a chair or a door opening and stuff. If there's somebody trying to fake something, there's going to be a movement before that chair or that door opening,
it catches.
And that'll pick it up before. So now you question, how come it went off a couple minutes before the chair moved? So you could actually debunk things or
and it gives people 7 seconds.
Faking it. There must be somebody there pulling the chair out or some kind of trigger object that moved before. So it
gives you 7 seconds of illumination too. So if something is actively moving, you will see it because it doesn't just turn on and turn off. It turns on, stays on for 7 seconds. So you get that whole frame of time. I don't know why I chose 7 seconds. I think it's because that's how long the tone was. It was like 5 seconds and I added 2. I don't know. 7's a good number, right? It's a witchy number. But
love this. I'm gonna put on right now here, your buddy.
Oh, Ron. he makes me blush. The Hellekson Shopping Network. Yeah, you like that?
Matter of fact, you're doing the forward for his next book, aren't you?
I am doing the forward for his book.
When for Ron's book.
When he sent me that message asking me that, I just was kind of like, what? Are you sure that you know who you're messaging?
I know he does, because we talked about you the last time I seen him. It was last Saturday, and he was like, they really respect you and everything you're doing, and they really, respect everything you're doing. And
I love him and Lourdes so much. They're so incredible and they're brilliant, and I'm so excited. I'm going to see them at Gettysburg. Will you be at Gettysburg?
Yes, I will. Yeah.
I'm going to Gettysburg just as an attendee, just because I saw that they're doing a Staticon presentation. So I'm super excited to be in the front row.
They're definitely going to be there. Half our audience are going to be there too. Unfortunately, Maureen's going to be in Florida. She's going to
cancel it. Come
she's going only to the Keys. Well, why she should go to Gettysburg? What are
you doing? Forget about it. Get out of Gettysburg.
You know how it is. Hey.
Anthony, this itch does not go away.
What are you doing?
So we made plans with our kids to go to Key West. And it was the only time that everybody could get the time. And it just so happens that the day that they're supposed to be arriving is my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you. And it's a big one. And then one of our
25?
Kids, absolutely.
She told me 60 yesterday.
Oh,
shut the hell up. And then one of our kids,
me, aren't you?
One of our kids bailed. And now I'm going to say this. American Airlines, you suck. They will not give the money back for that ticket, and they won't even give a credit. It's $500.
Oh, I mean, I understand no refund, but no credit?
Nope. American Airlines, you suck.
Yeah, that does kind of suck. I would at least give you a mileage credit or something.
something. They
Ew.
suck. And they gave me some kind of BS line about, well, it's in the basic cabin, not the main cabin.
Oh.
It's all one flight. It's not, there's a first
Give
class
you,
and then
give you a
everybody else.
voucher.
Just give me a freaking credit because my husband's flying in October. I don't care. So now we'll never use American Airlines. And now I'm putting it on social media everywhere. They
put them on blast.
The wrong witch.
Put them in the freezer.
Which I need to say something because I just found this out, but I think you already knew this. Shelley Duvall, who played
Little Bo Peep,
and Jack Nicholson's wife in The Shining, passed away today due to diabetes. It's a terrible disease.
That one's hard for me.
72.
75, I think, wasn't she?
I thought it was 72. No, maybe
I thought she was 72. Early 70s.
Yeah.
She was Little Bo Peep in Mother Goose's Rockin' Rhymes.
Wasn't she also Olive Oil?
She was Olive Oil with Robin Williams. She was opposite Robin Williams.
She's been around a while.
She made a big impact. And she has such a tragic story too, especially with The Shining. She was verbally and mentally abused during the filming of The Shining. Like she was like tortured mentally by Stanley Kubrick. And it was very devastating how poorly she was treated during that filming. And of course, I mean, it was an incredible performance by her, but it's so devastating to know the kind of treatment that she endured during the filming of such, an iconic film.
She was amazing.
Yeah. It's tragic. And she, I mean, and it's unfortunate in her older years, she was broke, household name, but she was broke.
Yeah. So sorry to bring that up, but
it's okay. That was a tough one. Usually I'm not super like sensitive about. Robin Williams was really tough, and Shelley Duvall's really tough.
Yeah.
She was 75, Jenny and E.
Oh, she was 75. Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, first of all, that's a tough way to go. That's a really terrible disease, and I mean,
she didn't have an easy go of it.
No.
So I hope she's in peace, and that's another thing. She's a reason why I'm just like, I don't wish anybody to be a spirit, to have to stay here, especially after a lot of the tragic stories that we hear about with, spirits in haunted locations. I hope she is beyond, different existence. She's a butterfly on Jupiter. I don't know. Somewhere else.
Yeah. And that was one of my favorite movies of all time. Like that was like I was a little kid.
It's iconic. Yeah.
The Grady sisters.
Absolutely.
I have that t-shirt. It's probably worn to death, but no pun intended. That's like now that shirt.
Here's Johnny.
Here's Johnny.
Yeah.
Great movie. Great movie.
Oh, you have any more stuff there to show us?
We did the crystal pot.
I had a question for you before.
Yeah.
With all this measure, I know you said you got the microwave. What do you goes on your baby back there? What do you use for distance? Is it laser? Do you use lasers for that?
It is ultrasonic sound.
Ooh.
So it basically works in the same way that sonar works with bats. It throws out a pulse of, ultrasonic sound that we can't hear, bounces off of objects and comes back and gives you a measurement. This one ranges about 2 meters. And I'm exploring different units that give a further distant read. But that piece will be the last piece of equipment that comes out in the Ethereal Eye collection, because that one's going to be a bigger undertaking. It's going to be a a very, very cool piece of equipment that I'm very excited
They
about.
use in submarines, don't they? They use that in submarines.
Sonar?
Sonar.
Yeah, same
On
kind of
ships,
idea.
see
Yep,
the depths
it
are.
throws out the sound. The
Same
bing.
idea.
Yeah, but
Then
it's
it
just
comes back.
ultrasonic, so you can't. Yeah, so you can't hear it, and it bounces back, and it gives you that measurement. And that one, I'm going all out. I am honestly. I try to keep so. My crystal pods start at $120. The Sear pod is $75. The Nova is $195. I try to keep my range of equipment very like affordable. Plus, I have payment plans. When I tell you that ultrasonic, I'm so excited about. I'm not putting a ceiling on my price. I'm like, I don't care if I make it and it ends up being like a $600 piece of equipment. Damn it, I'm making it because it's such a cool project that I have with that one. So that one's probably going to be a bit of a ridiculous piece, but I am so excited to work on it. I don't even care because I want it and that's all that matters. But the next piece that's going to come out. Oh, it's going to be.
That's sonar.
Because
everybody does laser, but you're doing that's something totally different.
Well, and here's the cool thing about it, because there is another ultrasonic motion sensor on the market. Did anybody hear that?
I heard it.
It's my dog. He's banging the door down.
No, I heard like a voice, like a. Oh, maybe that was okay. Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
Pounding the door down.
And well, I wish you could see Eleanor. She's dead asleep. She's done. She's like, I'm just here. We're just I'm just rubbing.
They're just getting started.
Oh, when it's time for me to get up and go downstairs, she'll wake up. That, you know what? That is, are you kidding me? That's like, that would be my life's work to like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. But I will say this.
Maybe it'll be time travel.
Oh man, are you kidding me? Do you know like
listen, I will actually offer myself up as a volunteer to do it.
Well, listen.
Anthony's like,
there have been certain people in the paranormal community that have said, Lauren, where the hell did you come from? Because I just kind of popped up out of nowhere. I don't know. So anyway, but the ultrasonic in this piece of equipment, when it is plugged into the computer, it gives you distance readings. So that's like a hint of where that piece of equipment's going to go. I'm very excited about it. But the next piece of equipment that I'm going to come out with in the Ethereal Eye collection will be the passive infrared, which is a very common motion sensor. And I always like to take a piece of equipment that I'm building and just go a little further with it. So that one will have some surprises to it as well when it's time to release that. So I'm excited about that. But for now, I'm riding the Nova wave. This one's actually Jeff Fence. I took it. It was at Hillview. Hi, baby.
That's crazy.
Crazy. But what's his name?
Anubis. And
Anubis? Hey, is Anubis the one that weighs the hearts?
He's like the king of hell. Perfect.
Who's the one that I thought, did he weigh? I don't know. Anubis. Am I in your ears or am I in the speakers? Anubis. Hello, little baby. I love you. Just in case you're wondering.
Oh my gosh.
Food or dogs? Biggest distractors. Or cats.
We were told he was a Pomsky and he would be like 30 pounds. He's 80 pounds.
He's a perfect baby.
He's like all husky.
He's 80 pounds of perfect. I love him.
He's nothing perfect.
I love him so much. Anubis, you're perfect. Your mommy thinks so too. Don't worry.
Calm down.
This is, I don't know. Are you guys familiar with Jeff Fent boxes?
Who Jeff
Fent boxes? Fent.
No.
So he makes he is big in ITC. He's big in ITC. He makes a piece of equipment called the Fent box, and it's out of usually vintage radios, vintage boxes, or wood from haunted locations.
Okay, I've seen his stuff.
Yeah. Nick, does Nick Groff
Yeah,
have
I
Jack
think
Osborne has a Fent box.
does it, but I think what's his name? Dan Cleese.
Dan has a Fent box. Yeah, I think he has
Yeah,
a
I remember when he
Hinsdale
first
House
got that.
box. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jeff he's kind of out my way. He's in Indiana. So, but this is Jeff's. I've been like parading around Jeff's Nova, but it was at Hillview Manor last night because I put everything that I build. It will go through. My Nova is not as pretty as everybody else's, but that's the field test Nova. So it goes through various field tests where it goes to different locations. We test it out. We make sure everything's working before it ever reaches the market.
That's another thing I like about you. You make sure yours is field tested before you put it out there.
Yeah, like the Crystal Pod probably went through a good year of like field testing, and then I did sort of like preliminary pods because it was my first piece of equipment. Had them out there, and then everybody that has like the sort of the first generation of pods at vendor shows, I've been bringing my gear with me, and I've been upgrading old pods just to like the new sort of like specifications of the newer pods, just better connections and making sure everything's working properly. And then the Seer, same thing. It got about a year of field testing. The nice thing, Nova was the first sort of venture from analog into like microcontrollers for me. So this was a lot of like writing code and programming. And so this didn't need as much field testing because a lot of the testing was done, on a computer. And then it just had to go through it sort of like paranormal field testing. The Seer is purely analog. It's a very simple design. There's nothing fancy in here because I feel like when it comes to static, so much creates static. So that's why that's a big reason why it's not plastic. It doesn't have sound. It doesn't have any reason because speakers can hold a lot of static discharge from them when they're turning on and turning off.
Yes.
So that was very simple.
You have a magnet in speakers also.
Yeah.
There's a magnet in speech, and so you got a magnet already there.
And which is also why I put the little, and of course, like even the magnet in the speaker, it's not going to be like, it's not setting off your REM pod or anything like that. But it's just another sort of facet of design that you have to take into consideration when you're building something.
Yes.
Maureen, are you like burning incense?
No.
Did anybody see something going in front of her camera?
Stuff happens in here all the time. I was sitting with Anthony after our show one night, and he said, "Do you have smoke or something?"
Yeah, I just saw it. It was in front of your camera, though.
I had black smoke in the corner, and then he goes, and now there was a black head that just popped in.
Yeah, it just came in on the side, like popped in, popped out.
This was like tan or like...
It might be the cat. The cat's walking on my desk.
Oh.
Here's her
Not
tail.
Paranormal. Cat tail.
Well,
debunked. That's hysterical.
These are my babies, and they all, like, I have 7 cats, 3 dogs, and we have a horse.
I'm coming over.
All of them are rescues except for the flaming nightmare that and Todd. The flaming nightmare that tried to beat the door down, and he's still running. They're always with me. They're always around me, and they always have to be with me because I'm always home, and this is where
Walter's not in here. I have Walter and Eleanor who are obsessed with being in my and Joe. I have 2 cats and 2 dogs.
People are like, "How do you keep your house clean? How is it that you could feed all these animals?" But we started off as a blended family, and so that happened, and then we rescued a black cat.
Oh, everybody has to have a rescue black cat.
I have 2.
I love it.
Nina Marie Harker, who is Dracula's mistress.
Oh, I know who that is, girl. I know who that is.
Bishop after Bridget Bishop. And then we also, my husband's like, this is going to be your birthday present, the Pomsky.
Nice husband. You don't say.
Like, this is not a birthday present. This is a nightmare. You're testing my patience and my sanity.
A birthday present. What a likely story.
He really wanted him.
I was gonna say that sounds like something my husband would do. But babe, really, it's your present. And I'm like, it's a kitten, it's your present.
He's really sweet though. He'll lay in bed with me and just stare in my eyes on the other pillow and hold my hands with his claws.
I love it.
Yeah. So I'm sorry that they're all like crazy, but no one else is home right now, and I'm just trying.
Don't
my
be
best.
sorry. I love animals.
Anthony sees more of them than I think my husband does.
I love them.
Yeah, I see him on the screen. I'm babysitting my pup, my grand pup, my son's dog. I've been watching it. My son just had a baby.
Grand pup.
So we have a grand pup. So I've been watching it for the last couple of months. Mocha. Matter of fact, I'm going to my. I'm leaving for Pennsylvania tomorrow. Just me. So I'm taking her with me. So it's going to be us two.
That's so perfect.
Mocha's a great dog.
So we'll have her out there too.
I love that it's going to be like
a little parrot. I got a parrot that talks.
A parrot. Oh my God, it's hysterical.
You have a parrot?
Yeah.
Like a big traditional parrot?
Big, yeah, African gray. It's one of those big gray parrots with the red tail. And
why isn't it just sitting on your shoulder right now?
He used to talk to the show.
He would take over the show.
I love it.
He'd be screaming and calling my wife's name. He says, Laura. You know, so yeah, he calls my wife's name and he asks us to eat, and I would have to feed him every 2 seconds if he sat over here. Everything I do, he's like, can I have a sample? Can I have a sample?
Can I have a sample?
A sample.
That's a good trick.
Yeah, so.
Not like seeds or anything.
Oh my God, I love that so much.
Doesn't he laugh all the time too? He makes fun of your laugh.
Well, my bird at nighttime, he'll start scream. He knows it annoys the shit out of me. So I say his name is Murphy. Murphy, stop. Murphy, shut up. Murphy. I'll cover him. And he'll say, hey, fucker. Yeah, calls me a fucker.
Hey, at least he's right.
Hey, fucker. Son of a bitch, he's cursing at me.
Sounds like my kind of bird.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I have no idea. He says everything in my voice, so I have no idea where he gets all these.
Yeah, I wonder where he'd get that from. Wait till your grandchildren grow up and they start talking like the bird.
Yeah, well, as long as they don't talk like me.
Well, the bird talks like you.
Does he use your voice? Does he mimic your voice?
He sounds. Matter of fact, years ago,
are you actually the bird right now?
Yeah, that's me. I'm the bird. Yeah.
The bird has body snatched you, and really you're the parrot.
Jenny wants to know.
Excuse me a second.
Does the parrot say
how you doing?
Oh.
We should get the parrot a t-shirt.
I was gonna say, are we about to get the parrot right now?
Oh my God, please do. There's this lady that had this show, and it was called, oh my God, what the hell was the name of the show? She had 82 animals, and all the animals would come into the house, but it was she had rescue animals. She used to have a kangaroo in a pouch. She had,
it was a show?
Yeah.
On what channel?
It was on TLC, I think. And she brought home, okay, Stormy, she had a parrot that she brought in, and the parrot cursed, and they had a nanny who was Baptist and tough. And the lady would be like, okay, Luke, Coco. I think it was Coco. Okay, Coco, we don't talk like that. We're going to talk. Okay, Jesus, blah, blah, blah. And she would pray with and it would go, F you.
My response when somebody tries to pray with me.
I found this show and I would sit and watch it. And my he's like, you're going to choke if you keep laughing.
Where's the parrot?
He's under the cover right now saying fucker.
We thought you were going to go get him.
No. My wife came in. I had to take care of something quick.
Oh, man.
See, Nashova's going to be a new watcher. She said, Murphy the Paranormal Parrot. This is great.
I would love to take him on investigations, but I don't know. You know, you go over there and you'll probably, stay with me, but
I always think the concept of bringing like dogs and stuff on investigations is really interesting, or cats even.
Yeah.
My cat used to be like, and I would take a picture and there would be something in it every time. Mina?
Oh, yeah.
She's the Dracula girl.
Well, you have animals that like visually and audibly, they can hear beyond they can hear and see a wider spectrum of light than human eyeballs can. And they can hear above and below like human hearing,
Well, the cats can see into the purple part of the spectrum, which is the psychic part of the spectrum. And they also astral project. Dogs don't see into that purple spectrum. I think cats are way more.
I don't think cats are from Earth.
I don't either. I think they're definitely something weird. They're definitely not from Earth because I've seen them do some wicked, weird stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're weird.
Not just that, but like the transition from like lions and tigers and shit to a house cat. I mean, I know that like there's all sorts of different cats and things like that, but you know what I mean? I mean, I'm all for evolution, and I don't know, man. I don't think cats aren't from Earth.
The bald ones are like they're from another. The ones who have no fur, they look like they're from another. They look like they're from another planet.
Little Sphinx kitties.
Mm-hmm. I love them.
They're like adorable little babies.
So if anybody wants to know, the show with all the animals is called Our Wild Life. You will watch it and you will crack up laughing, especially with the parrot. When the parrot comes in and is with the nanny, it is the funniest thing you'll ever see. And everyone in town knows this lady. Her husband owns a huge barbecue franchise.
When was it on TV?
I think like 2018. They have 81 animals. They have zebras, camels, kangaroos, alpacas, llamas, wallabies. They have a sloth. What's the animal that has the big, huge eyes and the striped tail and it like...
Oh, a lemur?
Yeah. And that animal jumps on the husband's back and like is all over him when he's trying to brush his teeth. And he's like, you got to get these animals out of the house. You got it. And she's like, okay, come on in.
Do they have a sanctuary or does she just have a problem?
No, she has like a sanctuary outside, but some of them she brings in.
But then she just lets some of them come in. I mean, I feel like I would be the exact same way. If I had a sanctuary, I would, like the well-behaved animals, I'd be like, come in and snuggle.
They are not well-behaved. And she even has like prayer service in the house. And these people are like, and the animals are jumping all over the place.
I mean, I like to pretend like my dog's really well-behaved and she's like so bad, but she's mama's angel. So that's how I would feel about all the wild animals. I'd be like, look, they're so good.
Todd thinks that these animals are well-behaved. And I'm like, they are so not. Their names all fit what they are.
They're good babies. I love them.
Anthony, we should get your parrot on here and have like a shtick.
Yeah.
That should be like the
opening. I'll be arguing with him most of the time.
Like the opening
or it could even be like the outro. And he could go, hey.
Eleanor's dreaming and she's barking in her sleep.
She's
like,
aww.
Ella, what are you doing?
I have to tell you, Lauren, you remind me so much of this woman that I found on YouTube, and she had like a show on Netflix. Her name is Christine McConnell. She had a show called The Curious Creations of Christine McConnell. And she had like these little They were like little puppets that were ghosts or vampires or werewolves or whatever. And she made these Victorian creations and stuff. She made a haunted house. And you remind me so much of her. Besides Tessa Groff, of course.
Besides Tessa. It's the best compliment ever.
Leave him alone. Come on. Don't do this.
Anubis.
He's bothering the other dog now. This goes on every night. This is like when it starts and it gets worse and no one's here to help me. So do you have anything else? Anthony's going to have his head explode if he doesn't see everything.
No equipment, no other equipment. Those are my main pieces. So yeah, right now I do the crystal pod, the seer, the nova, and the ethereal eye is all the equipment that I personally work with. I have a lot of, it's funny, what is holding my camera right now is called the spider's web. And it is it's a laser trip setup where it is a scope style laser and a set of mirrors so that you can basically lay out like a Mission Impossible laser grid all over a room. And then the end of the laser goes into this sort of trip alarm. So if anything goes in contact with any of the lasers in the room, it sets off the trip alarm.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and it's a prototype. It's holding my camera right now. I have a lot of prototypes.
I mean, I can't wait till you get the prototypes into regular equipment.
Yeah, the spider's web is cool. There's some things that I need to change out with that, and then I need to figure out like a better setup for, because it's a whole thing. It's like a set of mirrors, and then the alarm, and then like the scope laser. In some of the testing that I've been doing, it's very cool. You can do the goal because it's a scope. The goal is to be able to set up a laser the entire length of Waverly Hills Sanatorium's body chute is like my goal. And that's about 500 feet or something. And right now I'm at 350 feet that it can go.
Stop.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so it's a pretty long range. But like anytime I build a piece of equipment, because there are so many versions of just the same equipment throughout, the paranormal, I always like to build something and then have a little surprise, a little something extra. With the microwave, it's the illumination. It's a 250 lumen light bulb that lights up on that piece of equipment. And so just like something a little extra on the equipment that I build. That's like kind of the goal.
I mean, a lot of the equipment is like, I like the way you build everything with the wood and all natural stuff. That's so cool. And then you just keep on going, and it's like you're using things that are not really used on a lot of the equipment that's out now,
I really love things to feel theatrical.
Yeah, but you're using different things.
Are you in costume? Are you in costume when you make these things?
I should be. I was joking that if I do any events during like the cooler months, I'm going to get like a full like Victorian getup.
I think you should. And Todd and Carmela think that next year you should do a build class at Gettysburg.
I would love to do that. I'm doing a build at Hillview Manor, and I have a bunch. I'm doing one at Indiana State Sanitarium. I'm doing one at Hillview Manor. I just did one at the Windermere in Middletown. So I'm doing them. The biggest thing is, I am doing at Rock Island Paracon. I'm doing one there. So I'm like doing build workshops all over the place. And the cool thing about the build workshop is that you learn a lot about the equipment. And then it's like the extra is you get to take home something that you built. And You're considered a Laurenhaunts auxiliary builder because I taught you how to build that piece of equipment. And then I give you the tools to buy the materials so that you can continue making equipment afterwards if you want to. So yeah, so I am always up for build workshops, and I supply everything too. You take a door alarm and you modify it, and it says you're a Liliana Marie Creative auxiliary builder on the back when you build one. So you're like official, and then you have access to like a parts list and everything that you need to continue building these. And I've had people like go on to sell proximity sensors, build their own, like create new things, experiment around, or just get interested in building equipment in general. Because I mean, there's enough to go around. And I think the more people know about tech and the paranormal, the more we can apply it objectively and responsibly. And we can further, this field as a field of study and not just as this sort of like supernatural hobby that everybody makes it out to be.
Yeah. And you're right there making it happen.
I hope
you really
so.
are. That's pretty cool.
I hope so.
You will like seem like one of the people that trying to go into that science and a part of the field more than everybody else is just making this equipment and like mass making them and sending them out.
Yeah, I'm just throwing it out there to make money.
And you're there and you take time on each piece you're doing. You're taking the time, putting the energy into it, and you're testing them and everything else. So I think that's great.
Yeah, I want the accessibility to bear. I want people to feel like they have access to something special, and you don't have to have thousands and thousands of dollars in order to do this. Yes. And in order to explore the unknown, you can buy equipment that's inexpensive but not cheap. And that's kind of what I want to provide.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I wish I'd known that before, Tom. I wouldn't have half the equipment I have right now.
You know what? I'll be honest. I have an old like Army medic bag, and that's the only thing I bring to events now. Like investigations, I bring like 4 pieces of equipment, and that's it.
Yeah, you really don't need. Well, I'm a big with cameras, so I always have to have a camera going all the time.
Oh yeah, I have my camcorder. That's like the one big piece, and then we have a security system that's like 4 or 5 cameras that we can hook up to like a main security system.
DVR type of system.
Yep. But other than that, like if I'm just going on like a hunt for an event, I bring my medic bag, and that's it, and my box.
I used to the bug out bag.
Oh yeah.
My equipment. I always had to set up and just grab and go.
Yeah, this is I got it from an old like Army Navy store, but I fill this with everything I need.
Yeah, you don't need more
there
than
it
that.
Is.
That's awesome. So, anything?
I wanted to ask about. So, do you have a background in this, or did you just start like playing around with things and learning how to do this? It's funny. Another funny thing that I also think should be okay and accepted is I am like a hyper fixating ADHD person, and I like dropped out of college. I had through grade school, my mom was a teacher, and through grade school, I always had very high IQ scores and then like low standardized testing scores. Because I just didn't learn in the same way. So I like just really skirted by in high school, but I would be in like a gifted and talented or like an advanced class. And the classes that I was really interested in, I would thrive and get like A+ all the time, extra credit, like all this stuff. And then the other classes I would just kind of like skirt through. So I really had to be focused on what I was learning in order to retain it. Otherwise, I honestly I got bored and I tuned out. So I had a really hard time going through school, and then, college is a whole other story because there's nobody holding you accountable. So I did a semester of college, and I was just like, there is no way I'm doing this. Like, I can't. This is crazy. And
But when I was little, I would get in trouble for like taking things apart. My dad had like his TV in the basement, and like that was his like hideaway. And I took the TV apart, like tried to take the TV apart, and I got in trouble because I was like, what was in the basement? I thought it was just like free game.
Mm-hmm.
And he started to bring home, he worked at a hospital. And so they were constantly upgrading their computers. So he would start to bring home the computer towers that they would either like upgrade and like throw away. Oh, there's Joe. You could see little Joe right here. He would bring home these computer towers and gave me a set of tools and said, here, play. And I started taking apart computers probably when I was like 7 to 10 years old, maybe before that, I think. Cause yeah, it was before that. So like under 7, cause at 7, I think he moved out. My parents got divorced. So I was like 5, 6, like taking apart computers and doing like, I really loved doing math as long as it was on the kitchen tiles in our kitchen. It was so weird. I was in advanced math classes up until about middle school, and I would come home and we would get a wipe off marker, and I would be like, put a math problem. Like, what a fucking nerd! Excuse my language. Put a math problem on the kitchen wall. And they would put these, and I would just do this like in the tiles and nerd out. And so they really were like, wow, she's going to be a genius. No, she had a terrible attention span. And if she did not like something, she did not apply herself to it. So I had a really hard time through school, and then skirted through, got through it. It was fine. Try to do like a million different things. And I was always kind of like the fixer. So my first apartment, I built all of my, a lot of my furniture was either things that I like rebuilt, figured out how to built myself. I got my first motorcycle when I was like in my mid-20s. And one of the first things I did was like, I wanted to take apart the engine. So I learned how to rebuild a carburetor because it was fun. And learned how to do that. I always wanted to make sure that I could take care of like my car, take care of like any electronics, always taking things apart. And then when I entered into sort of like the public sector of the paranormal, I joined a team I'm still on, Tri-C Ghost Hunters, and they run the Parapsychon at the Ohio State Reformatory. And Greg Ficetic, him and Kathy are the leaders of Tri-C Ghost Hunters, he had a proximity sensor that looked like this. And he was like, yeah, it's not working, whatever. And I was like, oh, it's like, do you mind if I take it apart? Like, I could probably fix that. And he was like, yeah, sure, whatever. Here you go. And I took it apart and I was like, oh my God, this is like not even that interesting. Fixed it. And I was like, I could make these. And that's kind of how this happened. And then that was sort of started this like progression of building and creating. And then the Nova was sort of my first getting into like writing code. And now it's just now I'm going to create that, time travel laser. So yeah. ADHD, everybody, ADHD and Red Bull.
It's a great thing, isn't it?
Well, a lot of people I know, if you're not into Red Bull, you're into some kind of energy drink.
Red Bull, or I love Monster Juice. That's been like my thing lately. Great. But I will say with like the whole ADHD thing, I am so bad at fulfilling orders unless I'm on a deadline. So if it's like I'm coming up on the part where I need to ship out somebody's stuff tomorrow, I'll make like 15 pieces of equipment. That's the only bad part about it.
So you're like the 11th hour girl.
Yeah, I have no, like, I'm like, oh, cool. I don't have to get this done for like 2 weeks. I'm not going to do anything until the day before. And like, not saying I don't, it's not, I do it in little spurts because everything I do laser engraving. It has to be stained. It has to be, so there's a lot that goes into these, which is nice because it always changes. And even just like the little details on the bottom, I put like a QR code that you can scan on the bottom. And so everything gets very detailed because I like hyper fixate on making it beautiful. But then I feel like I really kind of cover a lot of angles. So who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Are you going to bring any of this stuff to Gettysburg to sell?
I am not vending at Gettysburg, actually. I'm honestly just going to attend.
Okay. 'Cause I know a couple people in the audience might want some of your equipment.
I will say
They're going to be at
everything that I
Gettysburg.
build is all available, made to order on my website.
Okay.
If you search for, am I pointing to it?
I put up all of your links.
Yeah. If you go to my website, my store is up and active. You can customize a crystal pod. You can get a consult for a fully custom crystal pod. The Sears are up on the website, and the Nova is available on the website. And every time you order a piece of equipment, I make it for you. So every piece of equipment is made for the person that ordered it. I very seldom make a lot of things ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. ADHD. Now, another question. You come to Gettysburg, you're staying in a hotel, or you're staying in your trailer?
Oh, I never stay in hotels. I am an on the road camper girl. Now it depends. If my husband comes with me, I have a 27 footer. And that's what I usually, when I do Michigan Paracon, I bring the 27 footer. When I do anything else, I bring the teeny tiny one. If he's not coming, I'm going to bring I have a little 9-foot lighthouse trailer for 2. That is one of a kind. I do not believe that there are any other ones out on the road anymore. I think that's the only one. They only made 66 of them. So it's a collector's item. It's my little baby, and my Subaru Impreza can pull it. So like it's only 900 pounds. So, if my husband comes, we're going to bring the dog, and we're going to bring the dogs, and we're going to bring the 27 footer. But if it's just me, I'll bring my tiny, Addie Gaddis, who is, the manager at Indiana State Sanitarium, Madison Seminary, Billy Creek Village, all sorts of, she calls it my hippie mobile. So I'll bring that. So I don't even stay in hotels anymore.
Do you have a shower and everything in there?
No, not in the little guy. I'll stay at, I have a campground at one of the Gettysburg campgrounds. And so there's like shower house and bathrooms and all that stuff. Okay. And then I just plug in electric and just use facilities. Usually I'll stay at like a Love's gas station that has RV hookups. The big one though, it has the works. It has everything, full kitchen, shower, everything.
Because if you need anything, and Ron and Laura's are staying with me too, you can use our bathroom, our shower, and anything you need.
Oh, thank you. I think I'm staying at the campground. It's a KOA campground.
Okay.
But I'm excited.
I've stayed there.
Cool.
In
Gettysburg?
We've actually stayed in the cabins.
Oh, okay.
And wait till you see what you get.
The campground looks beautiful.
It's really nice there, actually. Very nice.
So I'm staying in one of the electrical only RV lots. So, but it's like a wooded, like shaded, and you're very close to the battlegrounds, and so I'm excited to see the campground.
You're gonna actually hear cannon fodder all night long.
Oh, and cool.
There are no cannons anywhere.
Yeah, that's really why I wanted to stay at a campground that was close to the battlefields, because I'm going to go see like Vince Killian speak. He's a very good friend of mine. And then I wanted to see Ron and Lourdes speak for Staticom. And that's really, honestly, other than meeting some of my friends in Gettysburg, that's the only thing I'm going to the bash for. So I absolutely am just in love with wandering around the battlefields. Such just incredible history. And it's beautiful. So I'm really excited to just be able to sort of experience that. We'll do what we can to ensure the folks attending anyone who hangs in the static.
We've gotten some amazing.
No. I'm gonna wear a mustache and glasses so you don't know who I am in there.
Ron, did you not hear that we love to dress up?
I am going to be in full costume
with a mustache and a beard.
Going as Nick Groff.
And going as really short Nick Groff. I am. I'll just hide. I'll put a bag over my head. And it'll say, not Lauren. No, I want to come and I want to see Staticom in person, and I'm super, super excited to just
It's amazing.
Matter of fact, their partners are going to be there
see
from
that
Arizona.
100%.
Tony and Sherry Rathman are also going to be there.
I'm super pumped. I'm just pumped to just
so you
see
can have-
everybody to where I'm not working.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be great because we're
Walter.
doing a lot of hanging out together.
Yeah.
Especially after the thing, that's what we do. We hang out and stuff.
Heck yes. Yes.
You know what I mean? So we should
I'm
have
so
a
excited.
good time.
And I'm so close to Gettysburg, so I'm super, super pumped.
I said, yeah, you are. So it's getting to that time now.
It is getting to that time.
We're going to have
Yeah, I'm
Bobby
gonna go make
coming on
dinner.
next. You know?
I'm gonna go make some vegan dinner.
Vegan dinner.
Lauren, it was so awesome having you. I mean,
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
You're a lot of fun. You're so fun to talk to. Like I can't wait to like actually meet you in person. You're welcome anytime. Honestly,
Yay.
I would
I
love to
know.
have you back.
We'll have to figure out when we're gonna see each other in person. That would be really fun.
Well, if you're in Gettysburg, like close to Gettysburg,
Oh yeah, I'm only like 4 hours away from Gettysburg.
you made it sound like you're down the street.
That is kind of down the street in terms of how far I drive for things. Literally last weekend, I drove 7 hours just for the weekend.
I drive like 3 hours to perform a wedding. So
yeah, I'm like a travel bug. I have
I
have just campers. I can go anywhere. I collect campers.
Well, we're planning on getting one also, so we'd be good. And I like to just go and see where things are and whatever. So we have to definitely get together. But
yeah.
So this is another awesome guest and another episode of Dimensions of the Supernatural. I'm Maureen Grudzinski, otherwise known as Lil Witchy. This is Anthony Simonelli, known as Mr. Forget About It. And this is the amazing Lauren Hellekson. Don't forget, she'll be at Gettysburg Bash walking around. And don't forget all of her accoutrements over in the comment section.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for being with us, as always.
It was wonderful.
Next week, or wait, what are we doing next week? I don't even know where we're going to be. Next week, I think I will be with you, depending on if I'm still traveling in the middle. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but Anthony will be here.
Maureen will be somewhere in the ether.
I will be somewhere. I think I will be with you guys, but Anthony.
Okay, remember this. You want to be safe out there. You want to look for ghosts. You don't want to be a ghost. And
hey, how you doing?
Catch you guys.
How you?
Oh.
We needed this a second time.
Yeah, the ghost did that.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
Catch you guys next week, Thursday, 7:30 to 9:30. Dimensions of Supernatural. We love you all. Check in next time.
Ciao. Good night.